Hey guys, today we're going to talk about dimensional analysis. I know it sounds like a mouthful, right? But it's really not that bad. So we're going to call it converting measurements I'm going to tell you that Canvas will not accept this title, so we're just going to call it dimensional analysis. Let's see. We'll say using dimensional analysis. That's its official name, but you'll just see dimensional analysis on there. Okay, now that's a big mouthful. So what's happening is there's times when you have something, let's say in feet, but you need to know how many inches it is, or you may have yards and you need to know miles. So we are going to learn how to convert. Now, dimensional analysis is a lot of syllables, but here's all it means. Dimensions are the labels, what we're measuring in, feet, inches, meters, miles, kilometers, grams, kilograms, pounds, ounces, fluid ounces, quarts, so on and so forth. Those are dimensions. It's what we measure. Measure distance, measure capacity, and that's what we're going to be using. And analysis just means we're going to kind of be critically thinking how our units of measure can help us solve a problem, okay? So what we're going to do is think about things in three parts. What do I have? So what do I have is what's given. It's the labels. Oh, sorry, my computer was talking. The label or labels in the problem. Okay, so we look at what we have. And then here comes the analyzing. The analysis is what do we need? So what's our need? This is going to be what we call a conversion factor. Like there's 3 feet in a yard. That's a conversion factor. And we may need 1, 2, 3 or more, just depends on the problem. Okay. Now what's going to be interesting is when I write the conversion factors, you normally see it like 1 foot equals 12 inches. But we're not going to write it that way. We're going to write it like a fraction. So we're going to be thinking of it as a fraction. And then it's going to equal what we want. And that's going to be whatever the final label is that they want us to have. Okay? Now, what's interesting is you have something, you know what you want, and you're going to analyze what you need to get what you want. So, you must use fractions. Okay? And you're going to fight me on this one, but trust me, this is going to pay off in science classes and future math classes. Just trust me on this one. Okay? So I'm going to give you an example of, let's say, this is typically how you would be given a conversion factor. 1 week equals 7 days. So how can I write that as a fraction? Well, it kind of depends upon what you need, okay? So you could write it this way. 1 week over 7 days. Or you might say 7 days over 1 week. So the question is, how do I know which way to write my conversion factor? Well, it's all based on what you want, okay? What you want is going to be the label that's on top. So the label that's on top is what you want, okay? So if you want days, you're going to put days on top. If you want weeks, you're going to put weeks on top, okay? Now, don't get too freaked out because we are going to be practicing a couple of these examples so you can see it, okay? Now, I'm going to write down this information. I think I've got it. I think I have a little note for you guys on it. So this is just kind of some basic conversions. Let's say conversions chart. Okay, so the one we just wrote, 1 week equals 7 days. 1 day is the same as 24 hours. 1 hour is the same as 60 minutes. 1 minute is the same as 60 seconds. Let's see, 1 ton, capital T, is equal to 2,000 pounds. 1 pound, we usually use lb to represent pounds, is equal to 16 ounces. Okay, and then we have, usually, we talk about cups is going to be 8 ounces. Okay, and then we've got 1 pint is equal to 2 cups. Let's see what else. We have 1 quart is equal to 2 pints. Let's see, 1 gallon is 4 quarts. 1 yard is equal to 3 feet. 1 mile is equal to 5,280 feet. Okay. And then you probably will learn some conversions between the metric system, but these are just some basic ones that we'll be using as we do some practicing. Okay, so I'm going to go to my next screen and we're going to do examples. So this pretty much would fit on 1 page of my composition notebook. Okay, so here's my second page, and we're going to do a couple of conversion problems. So the directions will say convert. So number 1 would be convert. So convert means to change. So convert or change 22 gallons to quarts. Okay. So I'm just going to kind of underline color-wise. This is what we have. We have 22 gallons. What I want to know is how many quarts is that? That's what I want. So now I need to figure out what I need to convert gallons to quarts. So what I need is how to convert from gallons to quarts. So I think back to my list we wrote on the other page, and I get 1 gallon is equal to 4 quarts, and that's how we abbreviate it. All right, so how do we start the problem? We start with what we have, so I'm going to use my colors. We have 22 gallons, and remember this is going to be a multiplication problem. So we're going to multiply, and it's a fraction problem. So here's where it gets tricky, okay? So this is going to equal, and then we know what we want. We want it to be in quarts. So what I said is that whatever it is that we want, we have to put on top. So in my conversion that I need, I'm going to put the 4 quarts on top because that's how I want my answer to end up. So 4 quarts is the same as 1 gallon. Okay, so when we were talking about simplifying fractions, we were looking at a numerator and a denominator. Okay, so what I can do is create a fraction from what I have by giving it a denominator of 1. That's the easiest way to make a fraction out of a whole number. Just give it a denominator of 1. Now what's interesting is what's the same on my top and my bottom, my numerator, my denominator, is the gallons. So the gallons cancel out. There you go. So the only label that's left is quarts, which is what I want. Now I just have to do the math. So I'm just going to go ahead and multiply off to the side 22 times 4. That's pretty easy. I get 88. So my answer is 88 quarts. Okay? So that's how I get the answer. I start with what I have. I look at what I want. I find a conversion that uses what I have and what I want. Sometimes it takes more than one conversion to get there. I have to go baby steps. Then I go ahead and multiply by my conversion, making sure that the label I want is on top. Okay, I know it sounds hard when you start, but it will make more sense the more you practice it. Okay, let's do a problem where it's going to take more than one conversion. Okay, so let's do this one. And let's see. What is the length of a football field in inches if it is 120 yards long? Okay, so let's see if we can disseminate what we have. What we have is a football field. That's what we have. What we want is the length of the football field in inches. So here's a more of a word problem version of a conversion. Conversion, interesting. Okay, so let's think about what we need. So I have yards and I want to go to inches. Let me think about it. My chart, I know that 1 yard is the same as 3 feet. Okay, that's great, but that doesn't get me to inches. So then I need a second conversion. So I also need 1 foot is the same as 12 inches. Okay, now we can get this. So we start with what we have. We get 120 yards. So I'm going to make it a fraction by giving it a denominator of 1. And then I'm going to multiply. Now, first thing I do is I want to make the yards go away. So if I want something to go away, when I write it, I can write it so that the label I don't want is in the opposite location of its match. So since the yards were in the numerator, I have to put yards in the denominator. Okay, and that gives me 3 feet on top. But again, remember what my goal is. Let's put it over here. My goal is to have my answer in inches. Okay? So that means inches need to go on top. So let's see if that ends up happening. And let's have I need to get rid of feet. So the conversion 1 foot is the same as 12 inches. And then look what happens. Look what's on top. The inches are exactly where I need them to be on top. So let's see what happens with everything else. So let's see. Yards cancels with yards. Feet cancels with feet. Fantastic. Now let's just go ahead and we're going to multiply. So I'm going to start with 120 times 3, which we get a 6 and we get a 3. Then I'm going to multiply that by 12. So we get 0, we get a 12, 6 and 1 is 7. Put in a placeholder, 0, 6, 3. That 6 is pretty cruddy looking. Add up. Oh my Lord, look at that, will you? That's a lot of inches. We get that it's 4,320 inches long. Can you imagine having to measure the length of a football field and all you had was an inch to measure by? All right, let's do one more. I think there's one more. Let's do, let's do a time one. Time's always good. Let's convert 4 days to minutes. Okay? I could have been really mean and had us convert years to seconds. Ooh, that would have been crazy. Okay, so let's start with what we have. What we have is 4 days. That's our have. What we want is minutes. Oops, sorry, I'm writing the wrong word. What we want. So what do we need? So let's see. From days, I can go to hours. So 1 day is equal to 24 hours. And then from hours, I need to go to minutes. So then I have 1 hour is equal to 60 minutes. Okay, so here we go. Can we do this? Yes, we can. So we have 4 days. So notice what's interesting is that I do, with the dimensional analysis, the dimensions, the labels are the ones that are telling the story. So I include them in my work because it's the labels I want to cancel out. All right, let's see what happens next. So in order to get rid of days, it's going to have to go on the bottom. So I'm going to take that conversion. 1 day is the same as 24 hours. So day goes on the bottom because I have days on top. Puts 24 hours on top. But remember what I'm trying to get to, what I want is minutes. Oh, I might have to give myself a little bit more room. Minutes. Okay. So let's try another conversion factor. Now I need to get rid of hours, so that would go on the bottom. So notice always I put on a diagonal the matching labels. Okay, not across from each other, on a diagonal. And that's going to put 60 minutes on top, which is perfect because that's what I want my answer to be, is in minutes. Okay, so let's see what we end up doing. So days cancel with days, and hours cancel with hours. Okay, awesome. Now we just have to do the math. So let's do 24 times 4, which would be 16. And 4 times 2 is 8, plus 1 is 9. And then I have to multiply that answer by 60. So we get a 0, we get 36, we get 54, 55, 56, 57. Sorry if you hear something, that's my kitty cat. 5,760 minutes. Oops. And I wrote that in black. That's not going to be black. What was I thinking? Let's go ahead and erase that and write it in appropriate want color. I want it. That's going to be minutes. And that's going to be 5,760 minutes. And that's my answer. I didn't do a very good job of boxing up. All right, there you go. We'll be practicing these in class on, let's see, Monday and Tuesday. All right, have a great weekend. Bye, guys.